First, they specified without heading, so I shouldn't use any section titles like Part 1 or anything else. The tone needs to be engaging and human-centric, avoiding any AI-generated feel. That means using natural dialogue, relatable emotions, and maybe some descriptive actions that make the scene vivid but not overly complex. They emphasize simplicity, so I should stick to straightforward sentences and everyday vocabulary. Also, no names like Marcus, Sarah, etc., which probably means using generic terms like Emily is okay since it's a common name and not on the restricted list. But wait, in the original outline, Emily was the cashier's name. Since the user said, not to use names like Emma or Jamal, but Emily wasn't listed, maybe it's safe, or perhaps better to avoid all specific names altogether. The example given by the assistant used Emily, so maybe that's acceptable. I'll proceed with that unless told otherwise. The content must not violate YouTube policies, so avoiding explicit language, hate speech, violence, or anything offensive. The focus here is on workplace harassment, but handled sensitively without graphic details. The humiliation should be shown through dialogue and reactions rather than harsh words. Engagement is key. Each part should end with a hook to keep readers interested. For Part 1, building up to the conflict between the manager and the cashier, showing her vulnerability as a pregnant woman, and setting up the stakes. I need to introduce Emily as a hard-working, tired employee, maybe show her physical discomfort subtly, like adjusting her back, taking deep breaths, trying to stay focused. Then introduce the manager's rudeness during a stressful moment. Build tension by having customers react, co-workers look away, showing the impact on others. Also, ensure the undercover CEO is introduced naturally. Maybe describe him observing quietly, noting his calm demeanor versus the manager's outburst. This contrast will highlight the upcoming twist, avoiding any markdown formatting, just plain text with paragraphs separated by line breaks. Keep sentences varied in length for a natural flow. Use dialogue sparingly but effectively to break up narrative and add realism. Need to check for any potentially sensitive phrases. Instead of saying the manager yelled, maybe say he raised his voice or spoke sharply. Show the emotional effect on Emily without overdoing it. Maybe her eyes welling up, hands trembling, but she tries to hold composure. Ensure the ending of Part 1 sets up curiosity for what happens next. Maybe hint at the CEO's presence more clearly towards the end, making readers wonder who he is and what he'll do. Finally, review the word count. Need to hit around 1,000 words, so each paragraph should be concise but descriptive enough to paint the scene. Avoid unnecessary adverbs or adjectives, keep it tight. It was another busy afternoon at the grocery store, the kind of day where every checkout lane felt like a traffic jam. People were rushing in and out, arms full of groceries, kids tugging at shirts, phones buzzing with calls and texts. At lane 3, a young woman named Emily stood behind the register. She was 7 months pregnant, her belly round under her uniform shirt. Every hour on her feet felt twice as long. Her back ached, her feet throbbed, and her mind was always half somewhere else, thinking about the baby, the doctor's appointments, whether she'd remembered to pack lunch for tomorrow. She moved slowly, carefully scanning items one by one. A customer handed her a basket of fruit. She smiled politely, tapped the screen, and bagged the apples. Another customer dropped off a stack of frozen pizzas. She bent down to reach them, wincing slightly as her back stiffened. She straightened up, took a breath, and kept going. Then it happened. A man in a wrinkled suit approached her lane, holding a single box of cereal. His face was red, his voice sharp. "You're taking forever," he snapped. "Can you even do this job?" Emily blinked. "I'm sorry, sir, I'll speed up." She scanned the box, fingers shaking. The machine beeped wrong. Error. She tried again. The screen froze. "Great," the man groaned, rolling his eyes. "Now the computer's broken because of you." "I'm fixing it," she said, voice steady but low. Sweat beaded on her forehead. A few customers nearby glanced over. One older lady frowned. A teen boy shrugged. Nobody said anything. Then footsteps echoed fast across the tile floor. A tall man in a manager's vest appeared beside Emily. He didn't Look at her. He just glared at the screen. What's going on here? He barked. The scanner's glitchy, Emily replied softly. I've seen it before. It'll reset in a second. No, this is what's going on, the manager said, spinning toward her. You're too slow. You're distracted. You can't handle stress. If you're not ready to work, go home. Emily flinched, her cheeks flushed hot. I'm doing my best, she whispered. Your best isn't good enough, he shot back. This is why people think pregnant women shouldn't be working. You can't focus, you can't keep up. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The old lady cleared her throat. The teen boy looked at his shoes. Emily's eyes stung. She gripped the counter. Please, don't talk to me like that. Oh, now you're getting emotional. The manager laughed bitterly. Maybe you should have thought about that before coming in today. The man in the wrinkled suit smirked. Yeah, ma'am. Go hug your couch. Laughter from a couple other shoppers. Nervous chuckles. Emily stared at the screen, willing herself not to cry. Her hands trembled. She wanted to shout, to scream, to tell them how many hours she'd worked that week, how much she needed this paycheck, how her body felt like lead most days. But she stayed silent. Head down, eyes fixed on the floor. Then someone stepped forward. A man in a dark jacket. Quiet until now. He'd been watching everything unfold, standing near the snack aisle. Now he walked straight to the manager. You done? He asked. The manager turned. Excuse me? You heard me. Are you done embarrassing this woman? The manager scoffed. Sir, this is internal business. Step aside. No, the stranger said calmly. I think you're the problem. A pause. The air in the lane went still. The manager narrowed his eyes. Who are you? The man reached into his pocket and pulled out a small black card. Held it up. The manager's face paled. Behind the register, Emily finally looked up. She saw the man's face clearly for the first time. Calm, confident. Not angry, just disappointed. The manager stumbled back. Oh, wow, I didn't know. But the man cut him off. Let's go. Office, now. He turned to Emily. You too. She blinked. Me? Yes. You did nothing wrong. It's time we fix that. The crowd murmured. The old lady smiled. The teen boy nodded. The man in the wrinkled suit suddenly seemed less amused. Emily hesitated. Her heart raced. Was this real? Had things really just flipped so fast? She stepped out from behind the register, clutching her belly. The stranger held the door open for her. Outside, the sun was setting. Orange light poured through the windows. The parking lot buzzed with cars and voices. Inside, the manager wiped his forehead. The stranger's eyes met Emily's. Thank you for staying strong, he said gently. This isn't over yet. And with that, they walked inside together. Inside the manager's office, it was quiet. Too quiet. Emily sat stiffly in a plastic chair, her back still aching. The stranger stood by the desk, arms folded. The manager paced, wiping his hands on his vest like he was trying to scrub off sweat. I didn't know, the manager kept saying. I swear I had no idea who you were. The man didn't answer right away. He just watched him, calm but serious. Then he pulled out a phone and tapped the screen. A moment later, a woman in a neat blazer walked in. She looked around, nodded once, and took a seat beside Emily. Emily, she said gently, can you tell us what happened out there? Emily swallowed hard. Her voice felt shaky, but she started talking. Slowly at first, then faster. She told them about the long shifts, the sore feet, the way people sometimes stared when she bent over to lift something heavy. She told them how today had been rough, how her mind had wandered for just a second, and how that one mistake had turned into this mess. When she finished, the room was silent again. The man finally spoke. You handled that with more grace than most people would. Emily blinked. Thank you. He turned to the manager. You've worked here 5 years, right? The manager nodded fast. Yes, sir, since 2019. And in 5 years, you never thought about how your words affect people? I didn't mean to go that far. I just wanted her to focus. The man shook his head. That's not leadership, that's bullying. The manager opened his mouth, then closed it. His face was pale now. The woman beside Emily cleared her throat. We've reviewed our policies. Public humiliation of any employee is grounds for immediate action, especially targeting someone based on pregnancy. The manager's eyes widened. Wait, are you saying? Yes, the man said flatly. You're done. Emily's breath caught. She hadn't expected that. Not so fast. Not so final. The manager stumbled back. Come on, one mistake. You can't fire me over one mistake. This wasn't one mistake, the man said. This was a pattern. And we have reports from other employees. You've treated people this way before. The manager sank into his chair. Please. But the man was already walking toward the door. Pack your things, security will be here in 10 minutes. Outside, the hallway buzzed with whispers. Word had spread fast. Co-workers peeked through the blinds. Some smiled. Others looked stunned. As they stepped out of the office, a few workers gathered around. One girl gave Emily a tight hug. Another handed her a bottle of water. You okay? Someone asked. Emily nodded, still dazed. Yeah. The man motioned to the group. Listen up, he said. I want everyone to know. Respect isn't optional. It's part of the job. If you see something wrong, say something. We're fixing this place one step at a time. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Later that evening, after everything settled, Emily sat alone in the break room. Her hands were still shaking. She stared at the ceiling, trying to process everything. Then the man walked in. He sat across from her. You did good today, he said. She let out a shaky laugh. Didn't feel like it. It never does when you're being yelled at. He paused. But you stood your ground. That matters. She looked at him. Why'd you help me? He leaned back. Because I've seen too many people like him, in charge. People who think yelling makes them strong. It doesn't, it just makes them lonely. Emily smiled faintly. Thanks. He nodded. And because I used to work behind a register like you. Long time ago. I remember what it feels like when nobody listens. Her smile faded. So what happens now? Now? He stood. Now, we make sure this never happens again. Outside, the store lights flickered off as closing time approached. Workers clocked out, chatting softly. In the parking lot, cars rolled away under the night sky. Inside, change had already begun. The next morning, the store felt different. Not in a big way, just small things. The workers smiled more. They talked in hushed voices, passing around phones with screenshots of something they couldn't stop watching. Emily arrived early, still, wearing her uniform but feeling lighter than she had in weeks. Her belly was round now, and every movement took effort. But today she didn't feel like hiding behind the register. A few co-workers waved at her. One handed her a cup of herbal tea. You're kind of a legend now, she whispered. Emily laughed, softly. I don't know about that, but the truth was, everyone knew what happened. Someone had filmed part of the scene from behind a snack display and posted it online. It spread fast. Comments poured in from people all over the country. Some wrote, "This is why we protect pregnant workers." Others said, "That manager needs to learn respect." And many thanked the man in the dark jacket, the one who stood up for Emily, without hesitation. By noon, the video had gone viral. Back at corporate headquarters, the man sat in a large meeting room filled with executives. He played the clip again on a big screen. Silence filled the room as they watched the manager shout, saw Emily's face tighten with pain and pride. When it ended, the man leaned forward. "This isn't just about one bad manager," he said. "It's about how we treat our people. Every single one of them." One executive cleared his throat. "We should issue a statement." "We already did," the man replied. "Now we act." He pulled out a notebook and flipped through pages of notes taken during his undercover visits to other stores. He'd seen similar patterns. Workers being spoken down to, ignored, or pressured when they were clearly struggling. "We start with training," he said. "Mandatory, for managers and staff. Respect, empathy, support for pregnant employees. No exceptions." Another exec nodded. "What about the policy changes?" "We update them today," the man said firmly. "No more excuses. If someone's carrying a baby, we adjust their shifts. We offer better breaks. We listen before we judge." Across town, Emily sat in the break room, scrolling through messages on her phone. A local news outlet had picked up the story. She read quotes from strangers thanking her for speaking up, even though she hadn't said much at all. Her co-worker, the girl who gave her tea, peeked in. "HR called your name. They want to talk." Emily frowned. "About what?" "No idea. But I think it's good." Minutes later, Emily walked into the office. The woman from HR was there again, along with two others. They greeted her warmly, offered her a seat. "I hope you're not mad," the woman began gently. "But we shared your story with leadership." Emily blinked. "You did? They want to meet you, learn from you." Emily looked around the room. These weren't just store-level staff, they were higher-ups, people who made decisions. "We're starting a new program," the woman continued, "for frontline workers. Maternity support, mental health days, flexible scheduling, and we want you to help lead it." Emily's eyes widened. "Me?" "You've been through this firsthand," another woman said. "Your voice matters." Emily sat quietly for a moment. She thought about the months ahead, her due date, the baby, the fear of returning to work after maternity leave. She thought about the manager now gone and the stranger who changed everything. She took a deep breath. "Okay," she said. "I'll do it." Weeks passed. The store slowly transformed. Posters went up reminding staff to be kind, to speak up if something felt wrong. Managers attended new training sessions. Workers reported feeling safer, more valued. Emily started attending meetings at headquarters once a week. At first, she was nervous, surrounded by suits and titles. But soon, she found her rhythm. She spoke honestly, shared her experience, and helped shape policies that would protect others like her. The man, the CEO, was always there. Calm, quiet, listening more than talking. When meetings ended, he'd walk her out, ask how she was doing. "You're changing minds," he told her one day. "Don't doubt that." "I'm just trying to make sure no one else goes through what I did," she said. "That's exactly what makes you right for this." Months rolled by. Emily's belly grew bigger. The team at HQ decorated her workspace with tiny baby shoes and handmade cards. Coworkers brought her snacks and offered to carry heavy boxes. One afternoon, she sat in her chair rubbing her back when her phone buzzed. A message lit up the screen. "Hey, Mama, just checking in. You okay?" She smiled. It was him again, the CEO. Still checking in even as the company expanded its new programs across the country. She typed back, "Tired but good. Baby kicks every time I laugh." He replied instantly, "Then keep laughing." Later that evening, Emily sat on the couch at home, feet up, hands resting on her belly. Her partner sat beside her, flipping through TV channels. "What's next for you?" he asked. "I don't know," she said. "Maybe I'll keep doing this, helping shape the policies. Maybe I'll write something, or maybe I'll just enjoy my little one for a while." He kissed her forehead. "Whatever you choose, you've already done something huge." She smiled. Outside, the city lights glowed. Inside, life was growing quietly, powerfully. In the coming weeks, the company announced its new standards nationwide. Stores updated their maternity policies. Training became mandatory. Employees felt heard for the first time in years, and somewhere a video still played online. One where a tired cashier stood tall and a leader chose to stand beside her. Change didn't come overnight, but it started here. With courage, with care, and with a moment that reminded everyone, Sometimes the smallest voices are the ones that shake the world. Emily sat in the hospital room, sunlight streaming through the window. Her hair was messy, her eyes tired, but her arms were full of something warm and soft. A tiny baby girl, wrapped in a white blanket, slept against her chest. Outside, the world kept moving, cars honking, people laughing, phones buzzing with messages. But in that quiet room, time stood still. She looked down at her daughter's face, so small, so perfect. She pressed a gentle kiss to the top of her head. "I did it," she whispered. "We're here." Her partner sat beside her, holding her hand. "You were amazing." A nurse came in, smiling. "Doing well?" "Better than I expected." Emily said, adjusting her pillow. "Still sore, though." "That'll pass," the nurse said. "Rest when you can. Newborns don't care about sleep schedules." They both laughed softly. Later that afternoon, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. She reached for it slowly, careful not to wake the baby. The screen lit up with a message from an unfamiliar number. "Hey, Mama, just wanted to say congratulations. You've got a beautiful little girl." She smiled. It was him again, the man who had changed everything. She typed back, "Thank you. She's perfect." He replied instantly, "So are you." Weeks passed. The days blurred together. Feeding, changing diapers, learning how to soothe a crying baby at 3 a.m. But there was joy in it all. Even the hard moments felt meaningful. One morning, while rocking the baby to sleep, her phone rang. She answered with one hand, balancing the little girl in her arm. "Hi, this is Emily." "Morning," came the familiar voice. "How's my favorite new mom doing?" She chuckled. "Tired, but good. She just started sleeping through the night." "Well, that's progress," he said. "Listen, I've got something for you." "What do you mean?" "There's a meeting next week. HR, leadership team, some of our store managers. We want to share your story, not just what happened, but what came after. The changes we made, how we're making sure it never happens again." Emily paused. "You want me to speak?" "Yes. If you're up for it." She looked at her daughter, now asleep in her crib. "Yeah," she said. "I think I am." The day of the meeting arrived faster than she expected. She wore a soft sweater, her hair tied back, the baby tucked into a carrier against her chest. When she walked into the conference room, everyone turned. Smiles, nods, quiet applause. She took a seat near the front. The CEO was already there, standing by the projector screen. He gave her a warm smile. "Glad you made it," he said. "I wouldn't miss it," she replied. He stepped forward and addressed the group. "Today isn't just another meeting. Today we celebrate change, and we thank the people who made it possible." He motioned to Emily. She swallowed hard as all eyes turned to her. "I wasn't planning on being here," she began. "Not like this. Not months ago when I was standing behind a register, exhausted, scared someone would yell at me for slowing down." She paused, then smiled. "But then something happened. Someone saw me, not just as a worker, but as a person. And because of that, things changed." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the room. "I'm not here to talk about pain," she continued. "I'm here to talk about progress, about how one moment, one act of respect, can start a chain reaction." She looked at the CEO. "You didn't have to step in, but you did. And because of that, more people will feel safe at work. More moms like me won't be afraid to show up, even when they're carrying life inside them." Silence followed. Then one by one, people started clapping. It grew louder, stronger. Afterward, several women approached her, some pregnant, some new mothers. They thanked her, shared their own stories, said they'd seen the video, read the news, felt inspired. "You gave us hope," one woman said. Emily hugged her gently. "We're just getting started." Back home, the baby cooed in her arms. Outside, rain tapped softly against the windows. Emily sat on the couch, laptop open, scrolling through emails. One caught her eye. Subject, new role, opportunity, maternity. Program lead. She opened it. We'd love for you to lead our new employee support initiative. Flexible hours, remote options, paid maternity leave extended to 16 weeks. Your voice matters." She leaned back, stunned. Then her phone buzzed again. "Thought you should see that," the CEO wrote. "What do you think?" She typed back. "I think I might finally get to make a real difference." He replied quickly, "You already have." Months later, she returned to work, not behind the register but in a training center filled with eager faces. Young workers, managers, people ready to learn. She stood at the front, the baby strapped to her chest, and smiled. "Let's talk about respect," she said. Behind her, a screen showed footage from that day in the grocery store, the manager yelling, the crowd watching. The moment everything changed, and then it cut to the CEO stepping in, standing beside her saying, "You did nothing wrong." The room stayed silent. Then someone raised a hand. "How do we make sure this never happens again?" Emily looked around, at the faces, the notebooks, the determination in their eyes. She smiled. "We start by listening." The baby was 6 months old when Emily walked back into the training center for the first time in months. She carried a diaper bag over one shoulder, a bottle tucked into her pocket, and the little girl strapped to her chest in a soft wrap. She stepped inside and looked around. The room was already buzzing with people, managers, trainers, new hires. Some recognized her instantly. A few waved. Others stood up straighter, suddenly aware that the woman who had changed everything was back. The front of the room, a man in a dark jacket greeted her with a warm smile. "Welcome back," he said. Emily smiled back. "Feels good to be here." He motioned toward the stage. "They're waiting for you." She took a deep breath, adjusted the baby's head against her shoulder, and walked forward. The crowd quieted. As she reached the microphone, she looked out at the sea of faces, some familiar, some new. "I know most of you have heard my story," she began, "but today I want to talk about what came after it." A few people nodded. Others scribbled notes. She continued, "After I left that store, I didn't expect much to change. I thought maybe they'd replace the manager, maybe issue a statement. But something bigger happened." She glanced at the man beside her, the CEO. He gave her a small nod. "People started listening," she said, "not just to me, but to workers across the country. We shared our struggles, our fears, our hopes." She paused, then added, "And leadership listened." Behind her, the screen lit up with photos. Workers smiling, teams high-fiving, new policies, printed in bold letters on posters, respect, support, safety. "The changes we made weren't easy," she said. "We had to rethink how we treated each other, how we supported parents, how we led." She turned slightly, facing the CEO. "You didn't have to step in that day, but you did. And because of that, more people feel safe now." He nodded again. Quietly, Emily faced the audience once more. "Today, I'm not just here to tell my story. I'm here to help train you, to make sure no one else feels the way I did that day." Later that afternoon, during a break, a young worker approached her. She looked nervous, clutching a notebook. I just wanted to say thank you," she said. "I watched your video, online. It made me feel less alone." Emily smiled. "What do you mean?" The girl hesitated, then whispered, "I'm pregnant too. Just found out last week. I was scared to tell anyone at work." Emily's heart softened. "That's why we're doing this," she said gently, "so nobody has to hide or suffer in silence." The girl blinked back tears. "Thank you." "You don't have to thank me," Emily said. "Just keep speaking up. That's how we make things better." Outside, the sun dipped low, casting golden light through the windows. Inside, workers gathered in small groups, talking, laughing, asking questions. The CEO stood near the back, watching everything unfold. One of his assistants approached him. "She's really good at this," the assistant said. He nodded. "She always was." They both watched as Emily bent down to adjust the baby's wrap, then straightened up and returned to the group. The assistant cleared his throat. "You've done a lot since that day. New policies, training programs, parent support." The CEO smiled faintly. "It wasn't just me." "No," the assistant agreed. But you were the one who made it happen. The CEO shook his head. No, she did. Weeks passed. The training program expanded. Workers from different states joined the sessions. Managers learned new ways to lead with respect. Pregnant employees felt safer, more supported. One morning, Emily sat at her desk, scrolling through messages on her phone. A notification popped up from the company app. New post, CEO announcement. She tapped it. The video showed the CEO standing in a bright office, speaking directly to the camera. We've come a long way, he said. But we're not done. Yet. He paused, then added, starting today, all frontline workers will receive paid parental leave, maternity and paternity, no exceptions. Emily's eyes widened. The video continued. We're also launching a mentorship program. Every employee will have access to a leader they can talk to, someone who listens. He looked straight into the camera. Because leadership isn't about power, it's about care. Emily leaned back in her chair, stunned. Minutes later, her phone buzzed. Thought you should see that. She laughed softly and typed back, You're full of surprises. He replied instantly, Just keeping promises. Back home, the baby was learning to crawl. Tiny hands reached for anything within reach, books, toys, even Emily's hair. She sat on the floor with her, watching her wiggle and giggle, completely unaware of the world outside. Her partner walked in, holding 2 cups of tea. How was work? He asked. Emily handed him the phone. Read this. He skimmed the message, then grinned. Wow, they're really doing it. She nodded. Yeah, they really are. He kissed her forehead. You helped make that happen. She looked down at the baby, now tugging at her sleeve. I just wanted to be treated like a person, she whispered. Now everyone gets that chance. Outside, the city lights flickered on. Inside, life moved forward, one tiny step at a time. A year had passed since that day in the grocery store. The baby was now walking, wobbling fast across floors, chasing after toys and laughter. Emily stood in the kitchen, holding a tiny shoe in one hand and a coffee mug in the other. Her phone buzzed on the counter. You ready for today? She smiled at the message. It was him, the CEO. Still checking in, still leading with care. She typed back, Yeah, feels like coming home. The training center was buzzing when she arrived. Workers lined the hallways, chatting before the session started. A few faces were familiar, but most were new. She walked through the doors with the baby strapped to her chest, her bag slung over her shoulder. Everyone turned. One woman grinned. Look who's back. Laughter rippled through the room. At the front, the CEO greeted her warmly. You've got quite the crowd today. She looked out. Rows of people, notebooks open, eyes full of hope. I hope I don't trip, she joked. You won't, he said. You've got this. She stepped up to the microphone. The room quieted. Know some of you have heard my story, she began. Maybe even seen the video that started it all. A few people nodded. Some smiled. But today isn't about what happened, she continued. It's about where we're going. Behind her, the screen lit up. Photos flashed by. Workers laughing, teams high-fiving, parents holding their babies outside stores, smiling proudly. We built something good, she said. But we're not done yet. She glanced at the CEO, then back at the audience. This company used to feel like just a job. Now, it feels like family. Murmurs of agreement filled the room. She went on. When I stood behind that register, exhausted and scared, I didn't think anyone would notice. But someone did. Someone saw me, not just as an employee, but as a person. Her voice softened. And because of that, things changed. After the session ended, workers gathered around. Some asked questions. Others just wanted to say thank. One young man approached slowly. I'm new, he said, just started last week. Emily smiled. Welcome. He hesitated, then added, I heard about your story, about how you helped change everything. She tilted her head. It wasn't just me. He nodded. Still, thanks. She reached out and shook his hand. You're going to do great. Here. As he walked away, the CEO joined her. "She's getting big," he said, nodding at the baby. Emily laughed. Too fast. He watched the little girl wiggle in her wrap, reaching for Emily's necklace. "She's lucky to have you," he said quietly. Emily looked down at her daughter. "We both are." Later that afternoon, they sat outside under the shade of a tree. Workers came and went, grabbing quick bites or stretching their legs between sessions. The CEO leaned back in his chair. "How are you doing?" Emily took a deep breath. "Tired, but good." He smiled. "That's normal." She looked at him. "Do you ever miss being undercover?" He chuckled. "Sometimes. People act different when they don't know who you are. They see you now," she said. "Not just a leader, a person." He nodded. "That's what matters." Inside the training room, the next session had begun. A new speaker stood at the front, a manager from another state. He held a notebook and spoke with passion. "Our goal isn't just to serve customers," he said. "It's to take care of each other." Behind him, the screen showed a quote. "Leadership isn't about power, it's about care." The room stayed quiet for a moment, then applause. Back at home, Emily rocked the baby to sleep. The house was quiet, the city lights glowing outside the window. Her partner peeked in. "She asleep?" Emily nodded. "Finally." He sat beside her. "Today went well." She smiled. "Yeah. Felt like a full circle kind of day." He kissed her forehead. "You're changing lives, you know." She looked at him. "I just want people to feel safe, like I didn't that day." "You gave them that chance," he said. "And more." Outside, the night stretched wide and peaceful. Inside, life was soft and warm. Weeks later, the store where it all began received an award. Top employee-friendly location, national recognition. Posters went up. Flowers were delivered. Workers cheered. In the break room, a framed copy of the viral video still hung on the wall. Not for shame, but for reminder. This is where we started. This is why we keep going. The CEO visited again. He walked through the aisles, shaking hands, asking how people were doing. At lane 3, the same register where Emily once stood, a new worker greeted him with a smile. "How's it going?" the CEO asked. The young woman beamed. "Great. Just got promoted to team lead." "That's awesome," he said. "Keep doing good work." She nodded. "Will do." He moved on, stepping into the sunlight outside. The parking lot was busy, cars rolling in and out. He pulled out his phone and sent a message. "They're doing it right." Seconds later, he got a reply. "Because of you." He smiled, tucked the phone away, and kept walking.